There's been a recent thought to take Alexander Hamilton off of the $10 bill, but Ron Cherno's 800-page biography spawned a movement of love for the first Treasury Secretary. It led to Lin-Manuel Miranda writing a 3-hour-long Broadway musical about Hamilton, which led to an entire fandom of Alexander Hamilton admirers. So what? What's so important about this guy? I mean, he wasn't even president? Okay, he was the only founding father to never run for president. Yes, that was because he caused America's first political sex scandal and roasted most members of the government throughout his political run. In spite of that, here are 5 reasons why Alexander Hamilton should be kept on the $10 bill. Number 1. He is, apart from maybe Washington, the best founding father to serve as a role model. Born in a small, forgotten place in the Caribbean to a social outcast mother and a debt-ridden father, Alexander was said to have an insignificant life. Then his father left, leaving him, his mother, and his brother in a debt they couldn't get out of. 2 years later, when Alexander was only 12, his mother got sick and passed. Alexander and his brother were then sent to live with their cousin, who committed suicide a few weeks later. Instead of wallowing in his grievances, Alexander started working for his mother's old landlord as a clerk. He read every book he could get his hands on, trying to constantly learn. At 14, he was in charge of a trading charter. When he was 17, a hurricane came and destroyed the entire town where he lived. Alexander, who had been writing poems for a little while now, wrote down what he saw. When it was published in the local paper, it was so inspiring that the destroyed town collected money to send him to the mainland of America to get his education. He wrote his way out of squalor and never gave up in spite of the darkness of the world around him. He kept writing his way up in the world, even after making it to America. In spite of all the enemies he made who tried to defeat his plans, he always found a way around it. That is the kind of historical figure one should have as a role model. Number 2. After convincing Washington to let him lead his own battalion in 1781, Hamilton led the American side of a French-American attack on the British at Yorktown. Hamilton's strange tactics and decision to remove the bullets from the gun of his soldiers so they would only be fighting with bayonets helped him to take over the fort. Though the fighting continued 2 years after the Battle of Yorktown, the battle is still considered one of the main reasons why America won the war, and that is partially due to Hamilton and his odd leadership skills. Number 3. After the Constitutional Convention, Hamilton collaborated with James Madison and John Jay with a plan to write 25 essays defending the new Constitution. These papers were called the Federalist Papers. In 3 months, they wrote a total of 85 essays. John Jay got sick after writing 5. James Madison wrote 29, and Alexander Hamilton wrote 51. The Federalist Papers were written from 1787 to 1788. The U.S. Constitution was ratified by 9 of the 13 states in June of 1788. Number 4. As the first Treasury Secretary in the new nation, Hamilton proposed the idea to establish a national bank from his wartime days. His plan was that the bank would help pay off the war debts, have the federal government assume state debts, have a common currency among the states, and raise money for the new nation. In spite of Thomas Jefferson and James Madison's arguments against it, they worked out a compromise. The Compromise of 1790 provided Hamilton the votes he needed from Congress to get his debt plan through, while providing Jefferson and Madison a capital closer to their home state, Virginia. So the capital was moved in between Virginia and Maryland, a little place we now call Washington, D.C. Number 5. In 1804, when Aaron Burr and Alexander Hamilton went to New Jersey to duel, because Burr blamed Hamilton for all of his political failings, and Hamilton refused to apologize because he's, well, Hamilton, Hamilton had no plans to kill Burr. Though Burr had already fired his bullet, Hamilton had raised his gun in the air and was going to shoot it at the sky. However, the bullet hit him first. His wife was by his side when he died after being carried back to New York on July 12, 1804. To conclude, though Hamilton had plenty of flaws, he was not the conniving, evil man his enemies made him out to be. The achievements he made, both personally and for the nation, are proof enough as to why he should stay on the $10 bill. If you don't believe me, go read the 800-page biography or listen to the Broadway musical. Hamilton was a genius, and it's about time he gets appreciated for his genius.